Now, welcome to another inspiring edition of Sound Insight with Dr. Tom Curran.
Good morning. Welcome to Sound Insight. This is Tom Curran. It is a delight to be with you today. I am joined by my wife, Carrie. Hey, Carrie.
Hi, Tom.
Hey, Carrie. We're going to talk about that theme that we began on Friday but didn't get a chance to finish, which was living well on your summer break. You know, how do you be intentional with your kids to live well on your summer break? In addition to that, we're going to have a chance to dig into the theme of gratitude and how that can make so much difference. It can shine a great light to can remove blindness from our eyes. But that's what we'll be talking about today on Sound Insight. Okay, let's get started with the prayer. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Heavenly Father, good and gracious God, we love you and we praise you. We so desire the anointing of your Holy Spirit to be given to us and to all who listen. Lord, please touch the hearts and minds and the lives of those who are listening right now. Give them gifts and graces beyond what they expect, beyond what they deserve. Lord, surprise them. In Jesus' holy name, amen.
Amen.
In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. All right, Carrie, so thanks for coming back and joining me. I know that it's not a Friday edition, but last Friday we started down a trail of exploring being intentional about summers.
Well, we were talking about summer vacation and how to refrain from the chaos and boredom and crazy schedule of kids being home. And how do you walk forward in summertime well with your kids and help them continue to grow and learn and flourish under your roof? Because this is a time where schedules disappear and they are home all day typically. And it's like, oh, what are we going to do? And just how do you brainstorm out that time and have your kids actually be involved in that and take ownership in it and come on board and just really make it a fun, exciting vacation. But yeah, it's a lot of work on mom and dad's part.
And one of the ways that I like to talk about it or think about it is that we call it summer vacation because we are vacating from school. And it's a time where families also will take time away from work and they'll go travel. But it's also a great time for rediscovering or going deeper into the vocation we have as a family and helping each of our kids to recognize and to develop some of their own gifts in ways of associating that with God. God put you here. God put you here on earth. In fact, Carrie, I got a great story. I didn't tell you this. I was deeply touched by two of our kids. I was driving Mary Catherine and John Luke to John Luke's soccer game Sunday afternoon, and we had a crazy weekend, but on that afternoon, and in the car, they had my iPhone, and I only have 4 songs on my iPhone. One of the songs was a song from Big Hero 6, this movie, and it was something to do with immortals. We could be immortal, and something like that. And John Luke said to me, Dad, what does that mean to be immortal? And I said, oh, that means that you're unable to die, right? That you live without dying. And he said, who would want to do that? And Mary Catherine said, yeah, that would be awful. Who wouldn't want to die? And I was so touched by that.
It's sinking in. It's working. They know that we're on our way home.
Wow. But really, you think about that, Carrie. How many kids do you know that they have it firmly nurtured in their awareness that life on earth isn't the end?
Especially at that young age, because they just think forever. They can't, measure time the way we can when we're this age and we're starting to fall apart slowly but surely. And it's like, oh yeah, I can see how people will be ready to go home to heaven as they get older. But definitely kids would just not get that.
So, well, what did that mean? Because I've talked to them before. I said the worst condition that you could have on earth is being unable to die. That's St. Augustine. St. Augustine said that the situation of being without hope is being stuck on earth forever, not being able to get out.
Wow.
And then I just talk to the kids and say, well, why would that be? What is it that you don't like about earth? Well, it's suffering, pain, tears, sadness, death, all of these. I said, those are all the things that are gone in heaven. All those things are part of sin and the fallenness of the world. The evil, mean, hurtful people, diseases, broken, all that stuff is gone. heaven, you're free. And we love to talk about heaven.
Mm-hmm.
What happens in heaven? Who's going to be there? What's it like? What are you going to be able to do in heaven? And so their minds are firmly fixed on heaven. And then they hear us talk.
Well, I think often we will be struggling in some situation in the home, and I'll say, oh, I just want to go home to heaven. Or I'll say, oh, the struggle. I just want the struggle to end, because we're facing maybe not these horrors on our life, but just the human condition of being confined to this human form. And we are trying to propose or purpose something in a godly direction. It's not working right. And it's like, I just want to go where everything is right. Everything is perfect. Everything is full to overflowing of God's love. And then I was like, yeah, I'm ready. I mean, those moments, I'm like, oh, I could see how one would think, like St. Augustine, that you would be stuck here forever would be the worst.
So my kids said, well, why would anybody want to do that? And I said, well, let's think about it, kids. I said, they look at death and they're just afraid of it. You know, death is a door, and that door has fear on it. Fear's the sign on the door of death. And they don't want to go through that door because they don't know what's on the other side. They don't know that what awaits us on that other side is that meeting with Christ, who intends to save us. So let's live our lives in a way that honors that, right? So I love that truths that are supernatural, revealed by God in the church and handed on to us, that to hand on to our kids, that is something that is slowly blossoming in our kids. And it's like you do it when they're young, right? When they're in those younger ages, you let those
They're very
roots,
open to
they're
receive
open.
and to be formed and to have truth poured into them. But a lot of our listeners aren't necessarily theologians, and they're like, yeah, that's great, Tom, but you have a degree in theology and you have these spiritual conversations with your kids, but that might not be everyone's experience.
So this is a great way to just transition us into summer
Did you see?
activities.
I was subtly moving
Honey,
you along.
I liked that you did that.
You're welcome.
Oh, you're so
You're
good.
welcome.
No, it's our yes, right. Our listeners are thanking you, because it does lead very much into this concept of being intentional over the summer. And we've talked about this in the past a little bit, about the ways that you have been intentional about putting our kids in places where they can get this presentation of the gospel, this place where they can have a sense of coming to the living, breathing experience of their Catholic faith, as well as other dimensions, other parts of their lives. And so even this past weekend, again, kids were already talking about the summer, mapping out what weekends and what weeks are going to be going where and here and there, and who's going to pay for what, because the kids they have to save up and earn their way into certain activities.
Yeah, they help pay their way. And I think what's important, Tom, is part of this is, I mean, there's so many goods that we're talking about. And one that's so strong is a sense of family identity and family communion and a sense of belonging and having a mission as a family. So I don't want this to be this drudgery, or this is all just more work, or we have to come up with camps to send our kids to, and we have to organize outings. And that's not the spirit at all of which I want one to take away from this conversation. It's more an exciting, mission-minded, this is going to be a hard work, but it's going to be a beautiful, fruitful event or events that are coming about, and the kids are taking part in it. It's just so important to have our kids anchored in the home, that the home is central, because as they get older, I am seeing more and more how they want that sense of separation from the home, and they want their friends.
Like another community of belonging.
Yeah, they really desire those
friends.
outside friendships, which are great. They have some great friends, but we want them anchored first and foremost within the faith home, within the home. And these kind of rituals and these traditions that we've established over the summer really help anchor them in the home. And it's like a magnet. And their identity and what we do as a family is found first in the home. But that requires a lot of work and creative planning on our parts to say, hey, how does this play out in the summertime? But it's a powerful, powerful experience, especially if you're not a homeschooler and you get to spend this time with them and see them grow in these other ways. It's great. And if you are a homeschooler, you're like, woohoo, I don't have to do geography and math and literature studies.
Go visit the location.
You can actually enjoy a little bit more breathing room. I mean, that's how I feel. I don't know how all homeschoolers are, but There's just this beautiful kind of rhythm to the summer. It can be. I mean, I also have experiences of days and weeks where it's like, that plan went so far to the left. Let's get back on board and let's try to reroute this map, this direction that we're going in.
You know, Carrie, one of the things that I remember about you initiating certain things for us over the summer is the first time that you propose it. Even though you do it with a great cheerleading spirit, hey, here's what we're going to do, you're going to love it. There's this sort of rolling of the eyes or an attitude that can come up where there's a bit of distance and resistance to the initiative because it's different. And because it's different, it's not necessarily valued, or it's not valued.
And it's coming from the mom or the authority, and especially when they hit 11, 12, 13, that's where you start to have this pushback, which is good, it's healthy, but then you have to just get a little bit more clever, a little bit more smart to say, how do we tee this up in a way that's easily received, or where they're the cheerleaders and I'm not trying to fight them, but we're all in the same boat rowing ahead.
Okay, Carrie, I like what you're saying about getting our kids to go in the same direction, but let's take a look at how you can actually accomplish that, because that's not always easy to do.
Correct. Well, I think if you look at their age and what they're desiring, it's really trying to help them meet some of the desires of their hearts and intertwine that with our adult parental goals of spiritual formation and making sure that they're mentally growing. And it's not just social fun, going and having friends over, sleepovers, movie nights, that kind of thing. So in presenting this, what I say is, let's just do some outrageous brainstorming at a family gathering, a family meeting. What would you guys like to do this summer? So before I even bring to them what we're doing, which is already in my back pocket, I already know kind of where we're headed and what kind of camps.
I hope they don't listen to this program, dear.
Well, believe it or not, I think the older ones know that I do this. They've picked up pretty quickly, but we just do some brainstorming. Okay, what can we do that's free, that doesn't cost anything, that would be fun? So it's like going on hikes to waterfalls. It's like going to parks that are new that we've never been to. I mean, there are wonderful parks to go to. It's going to new libraries.
Go to the beach.
There's just a ton of things that you can do for free that is actually really enjoyable as a family. And sometimes it takes a little bit more creativity on our parts to have this event go smoothly and have everyone have that sense of with-itness. But as long as the kids know, hey, we're going somewhere on Friday, or we're going to the lake on Monday, or this is the day we go to the pool, or whatever it happens to be that suits your family. But they get to brainstorm on that. And then from brainstorming free things, and we help them with that, by the way, because they don't necessarily take into account that things cost and how much things cost. So when they say, we want to go to Great Wolf Lodge, I'm like, okay, let's see. That sounds great. And I write it on the whiteboard. Or they say, we want to go to Wild Ways. Oh, that sounds so fun. Yes, we should go to Wild Ways. I just keep putting these things up there. And we're not deleting anything. We're not critiquing it. We're just doing this outrageous kind of brainstorm. What do you guys want to do? Where should we head this summer? We have all these weeks of free time. So from that, Tom, we then start to put numbers and say, gosh, Great Wolf Lodge is like $300, $400, $500 a night, depending on what size room you get. I don't know how we're going to all pay for this. This might not work. But how about if we go to the sister-in-law's house and they're on the lake, we can go for free. Just trying to supplement it with something else. Wild Waves is great. Let's go with a group discount and on a weekday before it really opens up in the summer, and it's empty and it's only $12 a person. And we do that every year. Every year we go to Wild Waves. We find the greatest prices. Last year was only $10.99 a kid. And you, Dad, would bring pizza to us because Costco was only 1 block away. And at lunchtime, we were all hungry. Instead of eating in the park with these outrageous prices, we would just walk outside the park, and you'd bring pizza and water and ice cream, and then back into the park we'd go for the afternoon. But so there are things that need to be budgeted for sure, but they really don't take that into consideration. But at this point, we're just trying to get them on board, Tom. We're just trying to say, what would you like to do? This is an exciting time. You have all this time. This is a great chance for our kids to grow in different areas and to really see them flourish in areas specific to their gifting.
So when you talk about goal setting, Carrie, this is something that we tend to think of like connected with being involved in a business, companies do this, or being involved in maybe a committee where you do goal setting, or maybe in a home it happens merely with regards to things like maybe doing a budget or financial planning. But goal setting is an important activity to bring to kids, so that even now at a young age, whether it's, the tweens and even younger kids or into the teens, to begin to equip them with some skills that are going to help them, everything from manage your time with regards to getting your homework done today to managing your 4 years in high school and how you're going to be setting yourself up to get to college, that type of thing.
Yeah, and on into college, managing your time in college when you're no longer at home and mom and dad aren't there to tell you what to do, but you have to be self-directed and self-motivated and know yourself. So really this is a chance to say, who are you? What do you notice about yourself? What things show up when you set goals, when you're trying to accomplish something, and how do you live intentionally towards it? It's just great. I don't want to say it's great parenting, but it's just
good human formation.
Yes, it's for the human, because even you and I have goals that we set in different areas. And it's not that Tom and I, we are setting goals all the time. It's like we'll set a few goals and then we let it do it for a few weeks to a couple of months, and then we take a break. Set some goals, take a break. So summertime just happens to be this nice space where we have a little bit more room to set some intentional goals. But this is not what we do all year long. So we do 5 areas of goal setting: spiritual, physical, mental or cognitive, social, and then service, some kind of how we're going to serve the community. And really the social goal piece is to help get the kids on board to say, hey, this is really about us having a great summer.
As a family.
It's
a family relational goal more than the rest.
Well, it starts out as a family relational goal, but I know the girls are already, what cousins can come hang out with us, what weekend can go spend with this family. So they're already trying to gear up for having activities and movie nights at our house, which is fine. It's great because in the circumstance of a party or an event, you empower them to run an event, to run a party, and to do it with friends. And what does that mean? Where's your budget? What does it cost? How do you communicate this out via Instagram or social media? How do you get responses? How do you communicate with parents? I mean, it goes on and on and on.
I remember, Carrie, you did this.
How you teach your kids to plan an event. It's really good.
Mary Grace wanted to host a party, like a graduation party at our house. And you had her friends become a committee.
Yes.
They met at our house.
Yes. Well, first it was in 7th grade. She wanted to do a junior high party. And so I said, find 4 or 5 other 7th and 8th grade girls that you get along with, and you come over and we're going to sit down and set up a schedule. We're going to set up a budget. And so they did that. And then the next year she took the lead and did it on her own, with you and I going, whoops, we missed that. And then we did it into the high school year this year, and there was a few more whoops. But because as they're growing, they're changing, and these settings are changing. But still, Tom, we're walking with them, showing them, how do you live well? How do you own, I don't want to say how do you own your own life? It sounds so cliche, but you know what I mean.
Well, there are a lot of things I just think about that I take for granted that I don't really remember. Where did I pick up how to do that? Where did I pick up, for instance, understanding a baseball game? What do you refer to? What's that ground ball called? Why do those people play those positions? What do you do when the ball is hit there? How do you swing? Mm-hmm. And what it is you know what? They're not going to get it unless they are taught it, unless they are accompanied. And whether it's something as mundane as baseball, which can be important, in a kid's
I thought
life.
you were going to say as mundane as doing chores,
sorry.
Sweeping and cleaning.
As mundane as cooking and cleaning and
baseball, really?
Yeah.
No, but yeah, there is just, how do you have your children have a sense of self-awareness of who they are and how they function?
Just gaining equipping.
Yeah.
Getting them equipped to be able to live well in the world. So that's what you're really talking about in goal setting. So, Carrie, there's something that you are doing to link together this concept of social goal and spiritual goal, and that's the concept of a family retreat.
Well, this is so great because we are trying to figure out what kind of faith event we want to do this summer.
This is live in real time right here.
So we are let's go to Camp Hamilton, and we still haven't yet to register, but we still really want to go. However, at the first communion, I was asking a family what they're doing, and they just happened to say we're going to this Catholic camp in Idaho this summer with Father White. And I said, oh, that sounds really interesting or really cool. How do you know about it? Who's running it? Who's organizing it? And like, well, we're really not sure. Are you interested in going? Well, I said, maybe we would. Get back to me. Well, then I get home the next day. We come home after another First Communion event, and I got a message email from my sister, and she said, hey, check this out. Catholic Cascade Camp in Idaho. And I was like, oh, this is the same one within the same weekend, which was funny. But it's run by Franciscan University graduates or people who have graduated from that school. So I thought, hey, it can't be that bad, right?
Where you graduated from, yeah.
They have that going for them. So we just looked into it a little bit further, and it actually looks like a great pairing of our goals spiritually and socially for our kids, and the budget and the time and all those things have lined up well. So that might be what we do.
Well, and I'm trying to align it with my goal of not being in the car for 8 hours and 17 minutes, which is how long it'll take. I did a little mapping it out, and it's a lot of time in the car.
We do not do well in the car, but there are so many different little tricks to make that car ride go smoothly. I mean, we can work
a lot of rosaries.
This is like
baby.
A pilgrimage. Yeah. Just think of the car ride as the pilgrimage. Instead of walking on your knees, you're in a long car ride. So with that being said, Tom, yes, the kids are really interested in who's going with us. Like what other families are going on this retreat, and they're already vying for us to contact their different cousins and different families that we know from church, because they really want to experience this time with, that fellowship. I mean, I want my girlfriends and my sisters to come. I want to go away and have a great time. And so why wouldn't our children want to have a great time with friends that they are close to?
So what we'd like to really encourage you to do is to become more aware of opportunities that are happening now for families to be able to get together to celebrate their faith. And again, doing this type of thing the first year, it might be difficult, but you create those good memories. And it's amazing how kids they'll be able to cherry pick out the best parts of enjoyable holidays and sort of gloss over or just wash away from their minds some of the harder times or the harder moments. Yeah,
it's really funny how they assimilate into that situation. And Tom, when you talk about memories and starting those traditions, expect them to resist, or we don't want to go, or why do we have to do this, or this isn't how I want to spend my summer. And I just feel like the more we do require of them or make them go to different events and different things, the more they're on board, because they see the fruit at the end. They see the good that happens from it. And then they've just kind of fallen into this crevice or this pattern or this, I don't know how to describe it, but a rhythm or something that has been woven into the family system. I think it's as simple as when we have a baptism or a first communion, and you might have the teenager that says, I really don't want to go. I have homework. It's going to be so boring. None of my cousins are going to be there. And they put up all these resistances. And as a parent, I might feel tired or worn down, or, this is just one more blockage to getting everyone to go. And I want to say, no, okay, you can stay home, or, I see your point. But I feel like as soon as I start to do that, then they're like going to bail on every kind of family gathering that we hold as a priority as we move forward. And so, I don't know, there's some families where the kids all show up and it's a family event, and I love that. And then there's other families that show up and like one kid comes and they have all the reasons why the other kids couldn't come, which is, they're legit sometimes, but sometimes they're not. So it's like, how do you help your kids at a young age get into good patterns and healthy family systems? Because it gets harder and more difficult as they get older, because they are really starting to take a stand. And again, that's a good thing, but it's like, stand with us, stand as a family, stand together and be anchored in our family identity and what's important. And that's just us as parents being aware that is even being taught in the home through these kinds of events.
Well, and this is where, if we really want to help our kids achieve the goals that we have for them, then we also have to put in the efforts to create the means for them to get to those goals. And I don't think we emphasize enough that sense of family bonding together and finding an identity and a mission as a family, rather than just saying, let me get them involved over here, get them involved over there, get them involved over there, as if I'm going to principally be protecting them from doing negative things by getting them to be very, very busy in sports and other types of pursuits. But instead say, no, wait a minute. I want you to be close to me and to who we are as a family. And I think that and if you have a smaller family, then being able to do that with other families can make all the difference in the world. That's where having multiple families together, walking down the same path can make such a huge difference.
Absolutely. I definitely concur, Tom, that other parents, adults can step in and help parent my kids and help give them guidelines and values when they don't want to listen to mom anymore, or they're just like, oh, mom. But when they hear the same values being taught and pronounced by other young adults or other parents in different kind of settings, in the car ride, or when they're sitting around the campfire, or when we're just having a small group conversation, they're like, oh, this is who we are. And it's not just this, our own dorky, family that's kind of weird. No, this is how we see the world. This is how we see you. This is how we see faith. Because not all of them have made that faith choice to follow Christ in their heart. I mean, they slowly are stepping in that direction. But I have to say that not all of our kids have said, yes, I want to live for Jesus and I want to do everything on his behalf. And no, we're praying for that day, that Holy Spirit empowerment. But until that comes, we just really want to help them in that direction.
The summers, again, are a time for vocation, not just vacation, not vacating, but rather let's dive into the call that you have, that we have as parents, to be responsible agents in the formation of our kids in these various dimensions of our lives. It's not easy. It takes a bit of effort. It takes a bit of attention. It takes some focus. And it takes a commitment. And so what you're doing is you're sharing a little bit about what we do in our home in trying to help tee up ideas or evoke ideas or allow our wonderful listeners to begin to think about what you can do and apply in your circumstances.
Yeah, and we really want the summertime to be moving forward as a family, as a community in a positive, exciting, this is, pregnant with opportunity, possibilities of what is to come.
You're not pregnant, are you? Just
sorry.
Pregnant with opportunities.
I'm sorry, you guys.
She is not pregnant, folks.
With opportunities of how you can just have a really great summer. And it's not to say that there's not going to be difficulties, but this really just helps set guardrails or pegs in which to build out a schedule. So after we say, what do you guys want to do socially? What physical goals do you want to do? Do you want to hike? Do you want to learn to rock climb? Do you want to try canoeing? Should we go, borrow the brother's boat and go out boat? I mean, there's just so many little fun outings, physical things you can do. And I'm not just saying physical goals like getting a better serve or dropping seconds off your swim or learning tennis, learning how to overhand serve. I'm also just talking going out and enjoying the physical part of life. So, I mean, not everyone necessarily is going to want to run a 10K.
Not staying inside playing video games, watching TV, and lounging around on the couch, sleeping in until 11 in the morning.
Well, speaking of TV, our TV 2 weeks ago, a bat was thrown at it. I don't know how it all happened. I think you and I were gone, Tom. But we came home, the TV was broke, and I was like, oh, it's like an answer to prayer. It's gone. And it's not that we watch a lot of TV, but I tell you, it's just a battle that I'm always dealing with as far as turn off the TV. Now,
people might be thinking, what? Well, first of all, it wasn't like this monster 70-inch thing. It was
big enough. I mean,
it's big enough.
My kids will watch a TV on a 4x4 screen.
Yeah.
Inches. I'm talking tiny. So,
and it was just unfortunate. We felt so bad for our daughter who did it because she's such a rule follower and she was trying to be funny, and it was by accident. It was careless.
Yeah.
So many things happen as a result of carelessness.
Like my phone got broke because my daughter dropped it accidentally. And
but no, the point is that the kids aren't missing it. And some of the reasons the kids aren't missing it is the weather's so nice, you can be outside. And when the weather's not nice and the kids are inside, they can be together. And so having them learn how to be together, or how about exercising some of their mental abilities?
Yeah. So Tom, with service and the mental, service can be, I know several of our girls are doing the For Us, and this is a weekend where they raise money for ultrasound machines that help women in crisis pregnancy.
And forus.org. It's a great organization. Carrie and I have been involved very early on, and especially when they did their first major event. That one day, and back then it was 5 events that were occurring during that day, where you walk and you run and you did all kinds of things, right? And now that it's August 15th at Fort Steilacoom Park in Lakewood or South Tacoma, right? Lakewood.
Yeah, that sounds right.
And it's a great day. They have a section for the kids, and they've got face painting, all kinds of fun activities. And they've got, on the evening before, Friday night, the 14th, they've got that Luma Glow run, as well as a Christian concert.
Yeah, and I think they're under the authority or leadership of Diego Wendt, who just has a great spirit about raising up a vision, empowering the kids to just do something great for God. And the way he leads it and the spirit that he brings to it has been so empowering and life-changing for our girls. We kind of stumbled into this as a volunteer opportunity for them. And now I know several families that the whole family is going to this event to serve, to camp, or do the RV thing and be there all weekend. We're not doing that, but we're going to send a few girls.
Yeah, so it's to understand that they're on the front lines of being the pro-life generation that can abolish abortion in our time. And so it really fires up our kids to have an appreciation at a deeper level, ingraining in them for the gift of life and the part that they can make to help preserve life. And when you help with what For Us does, is provides ultrasound machines and training to crisis pregnancy centers.
I mean, it's such a beautiful, awesome event. And it covers not just the service, it covers the social goal, it covers the physical goal, the spirit.
Yep.
I mean, it really hits them all. So it's just a great, and my kids think they're at camp. They really don't even consider it work, although they are exhausted when they get home, but they really are looking forward to it. Another thing that our girls, I encourage them to do, because we will say, okay, now that we have these different goals, what service can you provide to other families or to other people? With our girls, it's babysitting. Can we babysit kids for different nights throughout the summer where the parents can go out for a dinner, they can drop their kids off at our house, or our kids now are old enough to go to other homes, and we're not getting paid for this. We're doing it as a service. We're helping other families who are in that throes of kids 8 and under, and they're just exhausted moms that need to get out. So I said, hey, how can you sign up? Who are the 3 families you're going to contact, and let them know that you're going to babysit twice for them this summer and get those dates. Another thing is yard work. I mean, that's a natural ongoing need for many elderly people who are just not able to do that. So that's not something I think we've done, but I'm just throwing that out there as if you have older kids, or that's something they're, boys instead of girls who tend to want to babysit. How about invite a couple families over, or invite them for a cookout? And I said to the kids, what 2 families do you want to invite to the pool? And it's like a $40 a month cost to belong to this pool that's outdoors. And so we just grabbed some of those $5 pizzas and meet a couple of families at the pool that are not necessarily friends of our kids, but they have younger kids. And again, it's kind of just to help the families be encouraged and to walk with them as they're trying to grow their family in faith. But our kids are on. They're not there to be with their friends. It's their chance to just love on and be great big sisters to other little kids. So does that make sense? I don't know. That sounds goofy, but that's what we do.
No, I think part of it is that we've been there, right? When we had 5 kids 6 and under, and 6 kids 7 and under, whatever it was exhausting.
It was very hard.
And being in ministry, the hours they're crazy kinds of hours. So when someone would say to us that one time, occasionally someone would say, you know what, go out. I'll watch the kids and go out, because they're too young to watch themselves or have the older sibling watch the other ones. And so not having made that turn in the road in terms of families being of that age, it's hard. And so you remember that. You have such a sensitivity to that.
Well, and just also the cost of paying a babysitter.
All of a sudden,
when you're trying
to
raise a family and you're struggling. I don't know. The other thing about service, Tom, is a lot of families are involved in their youth program, and they are going to Tijuana, or they're going to somewhere in Kansas or someplace that was hit by a tornado, or they're sending their kids on some kind of youth service week, which is, I hear, very powerful. We have yet to do, we do the For Us, but we've yet to actually sign up for something through the church.
Right.
But there are lots of families that are listening that do that awesome service.
Yeah, being able to go specifically to serve it's so very powerful. It can make such a difference in their lives. Okay, what about let's move and talk about the mental or cognitive or the forming the mind, and what does that look like for the summer? So how does that work itself out?
Well, Tom, part of what we enjoy as a family is reading, and we're not talking let's just go read the latest novel that came out for kids, but it's really looking at great literature, classics. So Where the Red Fern Grows, beautiful, heroic, heartfelt story, or the Little House on the Prairie series. We listened to these on audio tapes during Lent, and it was just this beautiful story of this family that works hard, that went through real difficult situations, had deep faith, and it really taught morals and values that form the way kids see the world, how their worldview is shaped. And there are so many books out there that don't lead to good formation, or just a kind of blah. They're cute, they're fun, they fill up time, but are they really forming the heart and the mind in a way that is in line with our values?
Carrie, one of the things that you do is you really extend out this concept of forming the mind to go way beyond, all right, let's make sure that they're reading and doing their math sheets to keep them current and fresh. And those things are valuable and good. But what else do you mean in terms of us working with our kids to form their minds in the summer?
Sure, Tom. Just in regards to reading, it really is about having them engaged in reading that really draws them into depth and beauty and that which is inspiring. And so with my kids, I have to actually read with them the first 2 chapters, or I have to somehow get them hooked to read the first 2 chapters. But it's a book that I know is good, that I've read the reviews, that I've researched, and that I've even picked up and felt the spirit of that book, or older kids have passed it down to them. Like I know Mary Grace will read several books years beyond her siblings, and so she'll say, read this, read this, read this. Mom, don't let them read this. And pair that with what I've read on Google search or different Amazon reviews. You can find great books for your kids. It's not just, you guys now need to do the hour of reading, everyone sit down and we're reading. No, it's the experience of coming together, and it's again anchoring your family in a sense of mission and identity and common purpose, belonging, where I will have 3 or 4 girls read the same book together, and I will order. And when I say we do reading, we just pick 3 great books for the summer. We're not doing 20,000 books. It's like they do like Charlotte's Web, or they do a lot of the Andrew Clements books. They do the Chronicles of Narnia. And like I said, some of these books are a little trickier or more difficult. So we do audiobooks where I get it from the library and
Kids
just order
love going to the library,
and they do
coming back with their little treasures that they want to go
do
through.
like a weekly library time, and it's set and it's in the schedule, and it's the same day every week. So you find a few books that are going to create memories and stories and communion, togetherness. So it's really more than just reaching this mental level. It's an experience that they share together, and then we just do fun things to celebrate when they finish the book. That might be the movie that came out that followed that book series, because it was such a great book series that they made movies from it. Or it might be just celebrating with going out and getting ice cream, something like that. So that's reading. And I just encourage you, there's one book called Honey for a Child's Heart, and there's another called Books Children Love. These are 2 great books that will do the research for you, and they'll tell you what level the books are at and what they're about and how well they're received by kids. So, and you can do Google searches. You can look and say, what are great books? But you just have to be careful that you're not getting secular recommendations, that you really are going with those that are classic and that are really great, beautiful literature. So I will be finding 3 books that we're going to read this summer, and then we just grab 3 or 4 copies from the library, and it's just a shared experience. They bring back stories of, remember when we read the Penderwicks, or remember when we read Bridge to Terabithia, and they talk about these stories, and it's this memory they have that's very beautiful.
I know you've helped me to do this. I've gone on to the commonsensemedia.org, because that also provides some book reviews. And the book reviews can be helpful because it'll give like a recommended age for the kids that come from the parents. And I know that it's really important that on a site like this, you want to make sure that you get to the source, right? Who are these parents who are making this claim of this age? What I like to do is I think that there's a way in which the group that the larger the pool of people that are making the recommendations, the more that the outliers will weigh themselves into that middle range. So I've found that it tends to offer a fairly good sense of, what age is this really meant for. So, but you can get all kinds of interesting things like what words they say, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. What kind of scenes, what kind of violence, what kind of other behaviors, and they give you all the details.
Oh, it's great to
all
know.
that stuff's available online.
Especially as your kids get older and they're reading books, you just can't keep up with them. And so we have the Mary Grace in high school, and I'm looking at the books going, what's that about? What are you reading? Where'd you find that? Who recommended that?
Yeah.
So it's just the last part, and I don't want to rush through this, but part of the cognitive or mental is our home economy. And it's so instead of doing math worksheets like multiplication, division, addition, we actually say, how does math apply to your life? And we really want this to be an owned experience of learning where you take an event they want to go to that costs money, and you say, how do you earn money for that? Because
maybe they want to go to a movie. Maybe they want to buy a gift.
Yes, like $50 to $100, and they're trying to help buy into some event that summer. So we say, okay, what jobs are out there? So we start researching, brainstorming, how do you make money as a child? What kinds of things can you do with your time? So can you do pet sitting? Can you water someone's plants while they're out of town? Can you do babysitting, be a mother's helper, do a day camp? I mean, these are all things that my kids have done. They've done the cookie cells and the Otter Pop cells and the lemonade and the yard work. And they'll go around to the neighbors and they'll make flyers. And then we work together with them. This is all things we do with them, teaching them, showing them, stumbling forward. They get frustrated. They learn from their mistakes more than anything, which is a powerful lesson. And during this time, we say, okay, this is what you need to earn because you want to do this. And we do the math. So it's math that is applied to their life. It's not just, let's do these fact sheets. My kids really let me know quickly if they're bored. And we just stay away from boredom because I have to manage it. And I don't want to require them to do anything that's terribly boring or dull. Even I don't like to do having the checkbook equal out. But in all of this, Tom, we're just trying to put some parameters and some guides around that summertime and give them some kind of schedule where they have things they can look forward to and move into and just flourish.
So, Carrie, well, let's kind of summarize now, and you still have time to figure this out. It could be kind of like drinking from a fire hose, hearing all of these things. So they've heard about spiritual, physical, mental, social, service, and
Yes.
it's like, oh my gosh, this is so much. I just thought I was doing great. I had my kid involved in, on a soccer team, and so. Just as a word of encouragement, would you just offer parents maybe like what's a first small step to take?
Well, just do what you're passionate about and think about that and just take time to really say, what can I do with my gifts that I know I love doing as a child, and how can I incorporate that into their summer and help them come alive in things that I'm passionate about?
Well, that's a great place to start, right? Because it certainly is something that it's going to be easier for people to move into.
It's very natural.
Yeah, I like that. Well, Carrie, thanks for that. This is, wow, what a wonderful bunch of wisdom today. Hey, thanks so much for joining me. Please join me tomorrow for more Sound Insight. God bless your day.